Eye Dojutsu. These come in three known forms in the story of Naruto. There's the Sharingan of the Uchiha clan, the Byakugan of the Hyuga clan, and the Rinnegan of No clan. All three eyes require unlocking. In other words, nobody's born with any of these eyes. Uchiha are predisposed to unlock the Sharingan, but it's implied that not every Uchiha gets the Sharingan, as it requires a particularly emotional event to unlock, and not everyone are ninja. As it stands, the Sharingan is just much too powerful. Upon unlocking it, the user can see the colors of chakra, the flow of chakra, lip reading, micro actions like moving a pencil, and even exactly copy other people's jutsu. They gain insane intuition in combat, seemingly able to predict the next move, and are apparently able to memorize every jutsu they see. This is just the basic Sharingan. The eye is more powerful than the person. They also have much greater proficiency with Genjutsu, both in creating and seeing through it, up to and including hypnotism. The Mangekyo Sharingan is a second stage of this dojutsu that carries with it a myriad of additional abilities that I'm not going to get into. Suffice it to say, it's a super massive power-up to an already powerful dojutsu. Hyuga seem to follow the same rules as the Uchiha. Not everyone gets it, and some are way better with it than others. It provides nearly 360-degree vision, can see through nearly all objects, and can perceive everyone's chakra network within their bodies. And, well, that's basically it. The rest of the Hyuga skills are in their unique brand of taijutsu that pair well with the Byakugan. This doesn't make the Byakugan weak, but beside the Sharingan, it definitely appears to be. The Rinnegan is a mysterious one. At various points in the story, we've been told that it's the natural next step from the Sharingan. We've also been told that it requires a fusing of Senju and Uchiha DNA in order to unlock. But, like the other special eyes, the Rinnegan can be transplanted into anyone and it will still work for them. While I hear that Boruto twists and mutates the original intention behind the Rinnegan, I'm going to keep to Naruto lore, specifically, as much as possible. There are 6 abilities that instantly become available to a Rinnegan user. These are, of course, the Sage of 6 Paths techniques that we all know and love. But it also gives the user mastery over all 5 chakra elements. I mean, how could it not, based on the 6 Paths abilities? Like the Sharingan, it can leash the tailed beasts. At various points in the story, it has been implied that the Rinnegan shares the same abilities as the Byakugan, but then it's also been proven not to as well. I'd like to think that it shares traits with the Byakugan and even the basic Sharingan, but maybe that's just me reading too much into it. You know how in Harry Potter, especially in the latter movies, powerful wizards just seem to stop using their wands? Though that's not canon in the books, it is definitely a useful way to show the mastery over magic that those characters had. I think something like the Rinnegan being able to use jutsu without hand signs would also be part and parcel with the jutsu mastery that the eye allows. But maybe that makes the Rinnegan too powerful. Maybe the Rinnegan should be too powerful. Because ultimately, that's going to be the hardest accomplishment for anyone, so why not give it a whole whack of advantages? There are activation issues as well. Ao, of the village hidden in the mist, has 1 stolen Byakugan, and this eye is not constantly active. In other words, he can activate it at will. Meanwhile, Kakashi Hatake inherited 1 Sharingan from Obito Uchiha, and he can't turn his Sharingan off. In order for Kakashi to conserve chakra use, he has to physically blind that eye. For the Rinnegan, it doesn't appear possible to deactivate. When Sasuke exhausts its use for the time being, he just closes that eye and keeps on going until it's recharged. He can't seem to revert it back to a Sharingan. So explanations aside, it was kind of silly for Kishimoto to introduce other dojutsu when he would go on to spend 99% of his time on just the Sharingan. Naturally, when someone spends more time on something, that becomes more fleshed out and interesting. But I've got a confession to make. I've always been a Byakugan guy. Obviously, the Rinnegan is badass, but if I were forced to make a decision between the Sharingan and Byakugan, I'd take the Byakugan any day of the week. But what I prefer doesn't change which eye is just unbelievably better. To say the Rinnegan is the natural evolution from the Sharingan is actually almost strange, because the Sharingan is just that powerful when you have characters like Itachi, Sasuke, and Obito running around. There's no scale to tell us that there could be other Uchiha who just aren't exceptional with the Sharingan. So we're left with what appears to be the most powerful super elites of the Uchiha clan, and Obito wouldn't be on that list, let's be honest. Obviously, they're going to make the Sharingan seem so much better than an average Sharingan user could, but it's basically bludgeoned over our heads that Hinata is subpar with her Byakugan. So on one hand, we're told that the Byakugan is stronger than the Sharingan, but on the other, Hinata is apparently weak with it, and all living Uchiha are super strong with their dojutsu. Almost immediately after learning about the Byakugan and its strength, we're spoon-fed propaganda about the various strengths of the Sharingan. So let's take a step back and properly analyze what effect the Sharingan had on the story. First of all, most important to me was that the Sharingan basically invalidated the whole point of the hand seal system. Chakra is a really cool magic system, especially when coupled with hand signs, but it was almost as if Kishimoto went over his own head and didn't want to further explain his own system, so he just invented the fact that the Sharingan can read all hand signs and copy them exactly. Oh, and then he gave 2 of his 4 main characters the Sharingan to further remove any use of hand signs. Heck, by the end of the story, we have hundreds of shinobi running in for taijutsu combat with arguably the strongest Sharingan user to ever live. As if Kishimoto dumbed down his own story to this point just to make Madara seem more impressive. Imagine if, instead of taijutsu, everyone threw the best of what they could at Madara. There are ninja bolting in for taijutsu or to strike him with weaponry. There are ninja fading into the dust as dozens of genjutsu befall Madara at the exact same time. There are fireballs, lightning, mudslides, flooding, and razor wind smashing into Madara from all sides constantly. Everyone would be weaving hundreds of signs per second. There's no way he'd be able to keep up with all of that. Let me also say that his little fight in the anime with the fodder is absolutely amazing. But how does a diverse group of hundreds of ninja from all 5 countries only revert to taijutsu use? Are there no disablers? Aren't they trying to seal him away? Anyway, I'm just saying the Sharingan at even its base level is so scary that Madara can wipe out an entire army on his own. That itself isn't even a feat, because Minato has done the same. It's just the circumstances surrounding Madara in this case. The Sharingan also can only defeat itself. Anyone who doesn't have a Sharingan must take special measures in order to fight properly against a Sharingan user. Only Sharingan versus Sharingan can guarantee the most balanced fight. Well, except for that time Sasuke fought against a freshly resurrected blind Madara and couldn't hit him. If you pitted Neji against a non-Byakugan user, it can be difficult to determine the winner, because the Byakugan as an ability is poorly developed, and we don't spend enough time with it to know glaring weaknesses or incredible strengths. If you transfer the Sharingan to another person, it grants powers unique to the Sharingan, not the person. For example, Obito and Kakashi's Sharingan have inverses of the same power. This implies that it's not the individual with the ability, but specifically their eyes. If Obito put a different Sharingan in his head, would he then have 2 different Mangekyo powers? It's never explored in the story, but we have to remember Danzo had like 20 Sharingan eyes, so it's possible to have a different unique eye in each socket. But if 2 different Mangekyo eyes were given to you, surely that'd create more of a unique power boost, no? And I mean this in the sense that you could theoretically have Sasuke with Amaterasu and Kamui. Doesn't that mean he could create a raging Amaterasu fire and erase it easily whenever he wanted? Because if Sasuke hadn't left the village, what if he lost an eye during a mission, and feeling residual sympathy for his childhood friend, Kakashi donated his own Sharingan to Sasuke, the only remaining true Uchiha? Then yes, Kakashi would go back to one eye, but then Sasuke could have some truly unique combination of abilities, right? In canon, Sasuke basically inherited Itachi's eye prowess, saving Kishimoto from having to come up with something new. But what if Sasuke's Mangekyo power could mutate as a result of a second unrelated Mangekyo? What if instead of just creating eternal fires, he could use Kamui to redirect and reposition the flames? You wouldn't want him to ever look at you, lest you be bathed in the flame you just dodged or sucked into a pocket dimension. I think this kind of eye swapping could become overused and kind of expected were it to work this way. But if utilized rarely, it could certainly add an interesting twist to how the Sharingan works without inherently making it just more powerful. But what if the Sharingan's power was actually that person's power? So Kakashi has the Kamui, but if he gave it to Sasuke, the eye power transforms into Sasuke's eye power. That example makes it sound boring, but then you could just give the Sharingan and Mangekyo Sharingan to other non-Uchiha users, and they'd have a power unique to them because of their new Sharingan eye. There's a famous panel of Obito standing beside a wall of Sharingan eyes. Seems it was a plot device never really explored, but imagine if those Sharingan eyes were found and used prolifically. You could have eyes that gave their users all these cool powers, but perhaps in an effort to retain the power, those eyes became repeat donors to other people, and the abilities granted were different. I'm also confused by the blindness angle. Does vision go out, or does the eye stop working? Or is it both? Because in the case of Kakashi, one good eye would mean he could technically still aim Kamui, even if he couldn't see out of that eye. Notice how this video transformed into what-ifs about the Sharingan, and I just stopped talking about the Byakugan and Rinnegan? This is what I'm talking about. There's so much about the Sharingan that's interesting and cool, because we had 700 chapters developing it. In my next rewrite, the Byakugan will be much more powerful to balance out the Ido Jutsu, but the Sharingan will also be a little bit weaker. My next rewrite starts on Friday, and it's going to be expansive enough to focus on all of the Konoha 12. It will be character focused, and a lot of change needs to happen for the spotlight to be equally shed across all 12 characters. Some of their starting motivations will be different, but these motivations will align better as the rewrite reaches its conclusion. There are so many possibilities for what's coming. There's a reason I always say, the sky's the limit.